What is going on, guys? Welcome back. I know I said I wouldn't do another video, but first of two videos, today and tomorrow, really kind of exposing Madden Next Gen. Want to talk about this image right here. This is Madden Next Gen stats direct from AWS. And when you read this, you understand right away. 20 to 30 ultra-wideband receivers, 2 to 3 radio frequency identification tags. That's outdated technology. Okay, so let's just get that out there. RFID tags on the officials, pylons, sticks, chains, and ball. Interesting because it doesn't appear, at least right now, that Madden is going to have officials in the game. But what I want to focus on is down at the bottom here. This is where I think EA really has to answer some questions for us as gamers. The tracking system captures player data such as location, speed, distance, acceleration at a rate of 10 times per second. Charts individual movements within inches. It goes on to say that more than 200 data points are created on every play of every game. But I want to focus on 10 times per second because, to be fair, that isn't a great amount of data based on what EA has sold us in the past. So let's go back to when Madden first went next gen, and let's take a look at this. Players think. All new Player Sense unlocks the human element in Madden. For the first time, players can scan the field, anticipate situations before they happen, and maneuver with instincts and awareness. If this is in the game, why do you need next-gen stats to do anything? If you tell us right here you've got players making contextual decisions at 50 times to bring ball carriers and defenders to life, why are you dependent on next-gen stats from Amazon? But most importantly, if you look down at the base of this, offensive and defensive play is the heart of football. Clint Oldenburg, I'm speaking to you. I want to know why I'm reading something that you approved that says the ability to make 4 times more decisions per second. Why are you selling us 300 new blocking interactions and 4 times more decision per second, and now you're using data that is only 10 times per second? That doesn't make any sense. That's a step backwards, even by your own admission. Now, I know some people are going to say, but Ryan, this is new, this is innovative, this is data-driven. I thought the same thing at first as well. But then I educated myself. You're about to be educated. This is next-gen stats. You know when they started? 2013. You know that article I just showed you? Guess when it was from? 2013. So Madden Next Gen and Next Gen Stats both came into the league at the same time. So can you explain to me why 5 years ago, Next Gen Stats were being shared with broadcast, media, stadiums, and being used on Thursday Night Football? In 2016, the data was going to clubs and also to the public. Why EA wasn't working to implement it then? Instead, now here we are, and we wonder why this game is so far behind. They're taking 2013 technology, they're putting it in a 2020 game, and they're telling us that they're making the most realistic game possible. Yet we now know they had all this technology at their disposal because of the NFL exclusivity agreement, and as usual with EA, they never found the way to take full potential of anything. In fact, what they were selling us was greater technology at 50 times and 4 times than the 10x technology that this actually existed with. That's a real problem that we need a real answer to. Now, moving forward, this is where things start to get a little bit worse for EA. Because when you read this, you have see it, feel it, live it. I want you to remember feel it. We're going to come back to that. because they talk about delivering the smartest, most realistic, and most detailed version of the game. I want you to understand this quote from former general manager at EA Sports, Cam Weber. We've never been more ready for a console transition than we are right now. The development team is crafting the most immersive Madden NFL game ever made. We now know that's not factual. We now know in 2013, they had access to this data that they were not using, that they would later utilize to sell us a game going next gen 7 years later. And right here it is, leveraging the power of next-gen stats, next-gen player movement fueled by real athlete data, route paths, acceleration rates, allowing the next generation of Madden NFL to deliver the most realistic, authentic, and fluid player movement in franchise history. There's no way this is an accurate line when we know right now, based on pure data, you were telling us in 2013 you had actually more calculations per second than this system did as it was implemented in real life. Someone is lying here. Now, I'm going to say that it's not Amazon. I'm going to say it's not the NFL. I'm going to say that it's EA Sports. But someone is definitely lying to us. Now, continuing on with this, because believe it or not, it gets worse. 2 times the control from the original next gen. The all-new True Step player motion system calculates every step. Players now have the ability to plant, cut, and shift momentum in an authentic way, unlocking the agility and explosiveness of an NFL athlete. Real-time physics calculate at twice the rate, allowing for the most organic, user-driven outcomes in franchise history. How is this possible that it's not in the game now, and how are you selling us with technology from 2013 that you've brought it into the game? But we're going to say it right out loud. Madden NFL has never felt this good. Just like they told us before, feel it. What is with Madden in feeling this game? The only thing we're feeling is disappointment. The only thing we're feeling is regret. The only thing we're feeling is disappointment for you. I'm disappointed for you. The best feeling Madden yet? No. The most deceiving Madden ever. This is unbelievable to me. This is where we are. Next-gen player movement fueled by real-world next-gen stats and authentic new environment inside NFL stadiums. The most realistic NFL simulation ever drops December 4th, 2020. But we're using data that we had available to us 7 years ago. But now we're going to tell you it's the most authentic. Now we're going to tell you it's the most realistic. Even though by our own words, by our own numbers, we've taken a massive step backwards. Ignore what we sold you before. Those calculations, they don't matter anymore. 2 times, 50 times, 4 times, no. We found the way with 10 times per second. We found a way with 2013 technology to somehow get the most realistic NFL simulation ever. This is a game that can't get shoulder pads on players properly. This is a game that doesn't have different shoulder pads for players. This is a game that thinks linemen, punters, and wide receivers basically wear the same pads. This is a game that has data from the NFL for officials that aren't even in the game. It literally is mind-boggling. And they present this, and I haven't seen one person go back before me and acknowledge that this data has been available to them the entire time. But you know what? They didn't want to use it then, because they knew, hey, we've got to prop next gen up on something. We've got to make it look like we're really doing something. We got to make it look like we're really making changes. Maybe no one will know that when we released Madden originally on Next Gen in 2013, we're using data that was available to us then and just bringing it up as if it's fresh because they've never heard it. Because that's what EA thinks. They think that we're stupid. They think that we don't figure things out. They think that we don't realize it's the same game. They think that we don't realize they're not doing anything meaningful. Everything they sold us up until now is invalidated by using this data. If you have players that think, if you have players that react, if you have players that scan a field, you don't need stats to have a player operate on a football field. This is something that would have went into the game in 2013, and then next gen said, well, now with the power of the newer consoles, we have players that can actually go out and think. Instead, now we're being told, well, we're taking this data, and instead of having players think on the fly, we're just having them react to this data the way they would in real life. That's not the same thing. This gaming company is unbelievable with the deception that they present our community with. And it gets no better when I talk about what I'm going to show you tomorrow. Love to know your thoughts on this. Appreciate you checking out. And you know I will be back in the week with more commentary.